Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the LIV'N podcast. We have a very special guest today. One of our first out-of-town guest, all the way from California. We have the CEO of Jaded. She's been featured in a bunch of different magazines, done a bunch of fashion shows. Is also moving into health and wellness, which we'll get into. But yeah, she's just a boss. And without further ado, we have Jade.
Hello. Hi, you guys.
Yes.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. How you doing?
I'm good.
Yes.
I'm good.
So welcome back to Colorado.
Thank you.
Yeah, temporarily. Yeah.
It's always nice to be home.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
So I don't want to waste any time. I kind of just want to hop right into things.
Okay.
So we have a lot to get through, and I want you to share your story. But with sharing stories, we have to start at the beginning. So before Jaded, before the fashion, before the brand, before the health and wellness, before the entrepreneur life, what was life like for you, and how'd you kind of get the idea of going into your brand?
Yeah. Well, who was Jade before California and Jaded? Well, I was in sales, chased a lot of sales, multi-level marketing opportunities. I loved always just being my own boss. I come from a family of 4 kids, and so the third one. I was always the crazy one, the one who was leaving stability to always find and create her own way. So when California coming up on 6 years now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, time flies.
Yeah.
I got a job offer, and it was supposed to be just a temporary 1-year thing, and then I just never looked back. So I was always somebody chasing, the next opportunity, and always wanting to not only be a part of something bigger than myself, but to create something bigger than myself. So
Yeah. So what sparked the idea of just fashion? And, I know you do your jumpsuits, what you can get into, but what made you want to go in that direction?
yeah, funny. I mean, I'm a girl. I love fashion. Never thought I was going to start a fashion company, to be very honest. But what really led me into fashion and wanting to start a business in it was wanting to solve a problem. That was the biggest thing, and it was really just a personal, I'm going to do it for myself, that eventually blew up into something more than myself.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So why jumpsuits?
Jumpsuits. Okay, well, jumpsuits, like the one I have on, it's a one piece. We love it as women because it's easy. You can put it on, and we don't have to worry about matching anything. But the biggest downfall that every woman's going to tell you when they're wearing a jumpsuit is when they're in the restroom, they're going to have to take everything off to use the restroom, right? So then we're topless, we're naked. And though it's a part of the process, it's also really uncomfortable and inconvenient. And so for me, the way that I started Jaded was, again, I was at brunch wearing a jumpsuit, had way too many mimosas. So, I'm in and out of that bathroom, but sitting there in that stall, completely just covering myself. I'm like, why has nobody ever done anything, right? Me and every other woman asked that question. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to just do it. I'm going to create it. And during this kind of gap of work, right, I had quit my job. I was going to go and travel or do whatever for a couple months. I was like, I'm going to just do it for myself. And then I created a little sample temporary piece for myself, and it ended up getting into the hands of the right person. The chief and editor of LA Style magazine found out about it and published me in the magazine, and then awarded Jaded restroom ready jumpsuits as most innovative of 2023.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was legit, it all happened maybe about 2 weeks after I quit my job, and was let's just explore. And I explored a little thing for myself that blew up into a business.
Yeah. And so did that happen all within your first year?
Yeah. A lot of things happened all within my first year. I actually really started in about June of 2023, June, July time, when things started to get into motion. And within the first year, actually, I spent a lot of time teaching myself about fashion. I had zero connection to people out there in the fashion industry, zero knowledge. I mean, I'm not really good at sewing, but I'm really resourceful at finding the right people and networking with the right people and sharing a cool opportunity. So I was really learning how to not only build a business for myself, but also learning a brand new industry for myself as well. And in that time, we were in the magazine, we were published in the magazine. We did our first launch, fashion show, about a year, legit to celebrate the first year in business. So I guess the first year was really learning.
Okay.
And then moving into the second year, a lot of it was more fashion shows and TV and magazines. And so I
Right.
think a lot of the limelight came second year of business.
Yeah. So, I mean, you got like a good solid start, you know, and that's more of a solid start than like a lot of people get too,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool. But that's like the glitz and glamour of it. But in that first year, you said a lot of learning. So, like, what were some lessons that you learned and like some behind the scenes stuff that was going on that like people don't really know about or wouldn't expect from your early success?
Oh, wow. Well, there was probably more tears than laughs. My first year of business, there was filled with a ton of doubt. There was a lot of, I guess, financial lessons, like really expensive lessons, not knowing who to go to or not having any connections and kind of just jumping out there and thinking that everybody you're going to work with up front is going to be the right and the perfect partner for you. And they're
Right.
not always like that, right?
Yeah.
And it kind of takes you going through that experience to understand. So one big lesson I think that I would have, if I could sum up the first year, it's definitely talk to a lot of people, vet out more people than you normally would before you just sign at the dotted line, right? I think something else, looking back, I mean, again, not coming from having started my own business ever, being smart financially, like making sure that if you're going to start a business, you know what opportunities or options are available to you, like grants or like proper funding, right? Crowdfunding even. And then talking to somebody who can help you be responsible with your money.
Right.
Probably like accounting, and you think you have all this money, or you're like, oh, okay, it's not too expensive, but little things add up. So I think the biggest first year was a lot of financial learning aside from industry learning.
Right. So as you speak of those lessons, is that stuff that you figured out after the fact, or did you do some of those things and you learned from others initially?
Yeah. No, definitely learned after the fact. I mean, when you're first going through the first lesson or you're living in that moment, you don't recognize what you're going to learn from it until kind of after, right? It's always easier. Hindsight's 2020. But yeah, I think I had to go through all of that first, and then I kind of learned my lesson.
Yeah.
I can tell you now that the people that I started off with, I don't work with anymore. Not because of a bad thing, but just because along the way I was able to get a little bit more serious and nitpicky about what I actually valued in a partner, and what was important to me, and the level of standard that they hold themselves and operate at as well. But you don't learn that again in the beginning. You think anybody who's willing to help you is the right person to help you, and it's not always the case.
Right. So from your time and the things that you learned, how would you distinguish like working with somebody versus not working with somebody, or kind of the smoke and mirrors type of thing?
Yeah. I think now, like looking back, and if I were to ever give advice or start over, definitely asking more questions, definitely looking at the fruit of people. God has always been a part of my story, and especially in business, you know, he's genuinely, truly the reason why so many doors were opened for me so early on, and how I was able to reach the level of success that I did in a very short amount of time.
Right.
But I think that the biggest thing that I've kind of learned is looking at people's fruit. Like for me, I was looking at manufacturing, right? And I was looking at where things were being sourced at. And I'm like, are you a reputable manufacturer? Like, are you honest about payment? Are you honest about the time and the deadlines that you're going to reach, right? I think for me, relationships are key. So if you wouldn't tolerate something from a vendor or business partner or even like a friend, then why, like, you know, can you tolerate it across the board? Are you respectful? Are you communicative? Are you on time? That's what I would really pay attention to. That's what I look for now. And then referrals. And not only referrals from just because you got a 5-star review and like 20 reviews doesn't necessarily mean they were legit and honest.
Yeah.
So I'm like, the people that actually used you, what are their fruits and how did that actually turn out? So
okay.
Yeah.
So with like working with people, or just even say you're starting a business, just in general, what are 3 questions you say everyone should either ask themselves or ask of others starting out?
Yeah. Okay. Why? First question, why are we even doing this? Why does it matter? Why should anybody care? Why should they choose you? Why? I think the next question is like who? The people that we're looking to serve, right?
Right.
Are we really going into business because I just want the title of a CEO, or are we going into business to make a difference and
Right.
impact certain lives? I think that's the biggest thing. And again, I guess third question, okay, why and who are we looking to serve? And then I think I would go into thinking long term.
Okay.
And that might be hard at first, right?
Right.
I mean, because so many things change, but is this really like a hobby, or is this something that we actually want to start a business in? Is this something that even on the hardest days, we're still going to be like, you know what, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to get through this and I'm going to figure it out? And is the impact that I'm actually making and the decision that I want to make right now actually going to be beneficial to me in the next year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years?
Right.
You know, I think a lot of people take a hobby or something that I'm currently enjoying and turn it into a side hustle or a business, and it's not always something that continues long term. And if that's something that you want to do, great. But if you are thinking about something of legacy and something long term, then actually plan it out that way and see if it makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's great. And so in fashion, and you're out in California, which, you know, a lot of people if they were to judge book by its cover, you know, they think LA, they think Hollywood, they think celebrities, they think, you know, designer brands and all this stuff.
Glam.
Yeah. And so building a business out in California would have been, I guess, some of the pros and cons of that, being just in that market. And what are some of the things that, you know, people don't really see or they wouldn't assume by building a business in California specifically?
Yeah. Well, California is a huge hub for fashion, 100%. Yeah. It's also a big hub for, you know, making your dreams come true. So how has it helped me? Well, especially in fashion, you're right. Tons of celebrity, tons of red carpet, tons of events to arrive at, lots of money. So it's been really helpful when it comes to networking and being in front of the right people and finding the crowd and the market that my clothes are targeted for, and knowing that it fits a market out there. Yeah, definitely the access, right? There's fashion district. So all the fabric, the trimming, the zippers, everything that I would need, the manufacturers. I think the biggest plus and upside for me, and the differentiator for me and other typical like fashion brands, is that I wanted everything in-house. I wanted everything in front of me. I wanted to, there's a manufacturing issue, I'll be there in like an hour, you know? And I think part of it was being able to like learn firsthand by like watching and being in the mix of everything. So I think having access to all of that out there, manufacturing, fabric, touching it, watching it, was a huge pro for me.
Right.
A con in fashion, so much competition. There's so much competition out there. Everybody's the next big thing.
Right.
And everyone's been in a fashion show. And so I can see how people get watered down. I can see how marketing and branding is extremely important out there when you have you and your neighbor, you know, creating a fashion line. But yeah, I think those are the two biggest things, like pros and cons, that I would say is there's a lot of competition. And so again, going back to why you, why does it matter? What's going to make me so different? Right. It's a big thing.
Okay. I want to harp on competition because, I mean, competition's, you know, it's inevitable in business and just in life in general. But especially out there, do people seem to want to help more? Or are they just like, oh, hey, you're doing this, and so they like kind of stray away from like, you know, being an influence, and it's just like, oh, you're the enemy, stay over there?
Great question. Great question. There's a mixture. 100% there's a mixture. There is a ton of gatekeeping, and I've had a lot of experiences of people who want to hide their manufacturer, want to hide this, and they don't want to tell you that because you're competition. And I'm like, girl, we don't even make the same thing.
Right.
So yes, I have ran into a lot of people that are gatekeepers, 100%. Or they want, hey, because I gave you a name or I recommended you, what am I getting out of it, right? People are always in this like self mentality. But on the flip side, I have absolutely met a lot of people who aren't looking at me as a competitor and as like somebody that is up against them, but more so empowering me and supporting me. And I love that, you know, because it was something completely new for me, but that's also how and who I am. Right. If I can help you in any type of way, then I'm like, great, let me pass you along to someone else. And I think part of that, because I think for a moment I was like, well, let me try to be in the middle and let me try to teach these people and guide them and connect them. But I'm like, this isn't for me to like build your business and connect you. I'm like, my job is to connect you to the people that I trusted that are going to do a good job for you too.
Right.
So you kind of, again, have to pick and choose, going out and having good discernment and looking at people's fruit, and then being able to kind of see, as a person, can I actually relate to you? Do I like you? Do we respect one another?
Right.
And then go from there. But I mean, competition in California it's so different. And I think it's interesting because it's not always we're competing on who makes the best dress or the best jumpsuit, but competition in California is all about the name and how many things I've done. And I can see that for a lot of people, but I'm like, I don't necessarily care. I'm like, I'm not competing to see who makes it on the cover first. I'm competing on, like, is their experience with my brand better than yours? Like, are they still talking about it? Are they buying it for their sisters? Like, how often are they wearing it? That's what I care about. I care about a person's experience rather than, who's the best at this right now.
Yeah, I get that. So I want to talk about two other C's. So there's competition, but there's community and culture.
Yes.
So the opposite side of that kind of. So how would you explain the culture and community of kind of California fashion and your industry out there?
Oh, of California fashion. The culture, very fast paced. Very, I guess depending on the brand, in your face, fashion show, glam, a lot of that vanity is out there. But then there's also other brands that are more down to earth, and when it comes to the community, I like a mixture of both. I've definitely been of both kinds. I've been a more glitz and glam stuff. I mean, Jaded helped host the Grammys out there. We were at a lot of red carpet events. The people that you meet there are huge. So when it comes to that, it's like, oh, who am I going to be connected with? And what opportunities are going to come from there? And, lots of keeping things up and being active and going out. And then you also have, again, the more down-to-earth culture and brands that are all about like having a good time and being accepting and growing and supportive of one another.
Right.
So I think you can find your mix anywhere in California. More than anything, it just really depends on who you are and where you want to fit in and who you want to be surrounded by. You'll find it.
I got you. Do you find that people are more supportive that are like outside of your industry, or more people are supportive within the confines of your industry? And however you label support, that could be like showing up to your events, that could be buying your products, that could be, offering, hey, I know this person at X, Y, and Z, connecting you. So however you define support, do you think it's more supportive of people who are outside the industry or within?
I would say there's a mixture. I've definitely found a lot of support in the fashion industry, and especially now that I'm a little bit more, I've been around a little bit longer. But honestly, when I think about my circle and I think about the people who are part of the Jaded community, a lot of them are out of fashion. A lot of them are entrepreneurs themselves, and they do various different things.
Right.
But I think my circle around people outside of fashion have been more supportive. They show up, they're eager to learn. They're not showing up to learn and steal things and be competitors or again, any type of stuff related to that type of competitive culture, but more so everybody else who's like, oh, they're winning, they're doing a good thing, let me support you. Oh, I do finance. Let me just help you if you need help with it,
Okay. Well, that's good. So being in a place like California, LA, whatever, a place where it can kind of like chew you up, spit you out, and you can potentially become somebody that you don't want to become. How do you kind of stay authentic to like who you are as a person as you kind of navigate, your whole journey and your business? That's
great. I'm glad you brought that up because that was something that I was going through. I think in the very beginning, the first year, the second year, I really wanted to be out there. I was like, okay, put me out. Like I'm gonna sign up for every little thing that I can do, just get my name out there. And I quickly learned and saw the cutthroat or competitive or vanity side of a lot.
Right.
And there were moments where I felt like I was completely out of place. Like I wasn't somebody who normally naturally is always at an event and dressing up and spending thousands of dollars on like a dress or anything. And I felt really out of place for it. And I also realized inside, and like, it didn't sit well with my spirit to be not fake per se, but more of like, oh, let me turn on and be this type of way so I can fit in right now.
Right.
But then go home and I'd feel completely depleted because that's not the people that I want to be around. That's not the people that I would surround myself with normally. So I actually kind of took a step back the end of like year 2 into year 3 and started to recognize that my circle is different. What I really want and who I am authentically isn't somebody who's all about the show, but the serving, and how do I be around other people, and how do I be around making a difference. And I think that was the biggest thing, was staying true and asking myself, really, what am I doing? And who do I want to be seen by? And if somebody did see me, what are they going to remember about me? Just that I was at an event, or that I was able to have a conversation with them that impacted them, that I was there to see them and listen to them,
Right. Was there ever a specific moment you can think of where it just, you weren't yourself and you caught yourself and you had to like pull back, like, wait, like that's not who I am, that's not me, I got to take a step back?
I'm like, well, there's so many different things coming up right now. Yes, there was a big it's a big red carpet event that we were invited to from a PR person, and I was there, and a lot of people were talking about things that I couldn't really relate to. Like, I didn't just get off my yacht.
Yeah.
And I wasn't throwing money around. They were very, and not saying this in a mean way, but they were just a little different. They're a little bit more bougie. And I'm like, I don't really care about what you did. I don't really care about what you're doing with your money,
Yeah.
And that was when I was like, what am I doing here? Like, if someone asked me, what did I do this past weekend? I'm like, I gardened and while you were like partying in your yacht or in Cabo. That was just one of the biggest moments for me at the end of the year when I was there and I saw these people, and that's all that they were talking about, not what's new or what difference am I making,
Right.
or about their family, or like the real life things that people go through, and I was like, that's not really what I want to be about. I don't want to go in and just brag about myself.
Right.
I want to like hear the nitty gritty of what's happening, because I want to relate to you, and then I want to see if I can help you.
Yeah.
So that's kind of when I recognized it. So year 3 really shifted a lot of things for me, and including how I wanted to move forward in business and how I wanted to show up as a human being and as the CEO of Jaded.
Gotcha. So how would you just tell anybody that's trying to just kind of like find their way in their own industry, in their own field, but like be true to themselves? Like, what advice would you give people just in general about that?
I would say for somebody who's starting out and navigating it, right, and being true to yourself, it's, if you falter or if you catch yourself in a position or in places where it's not really like you, and that's okay, right? Sometimes you kind of have to be out there and you don't know what you don't know. But to go back to your roots and take a break and reset, and think again as to like why I started and who am I to do all this? Like, who am I becoming, and who do I want to become right now? And does this scene or do these people kind of align with that? I'm like trying to figure out how to say this in a way that actually like really makes sense, but I think really just asking questions and pausing and like, am I really in alignment with who I say I am, and where this business is going, and what I really want to put out there, because that'll bring you right back, right? And then having a good support system.
Right.
Your friends. Like, my partner has been very grounding throughout all of it, very supportive, and will always show up in any situation, in any like high class to like backyard thing,
Right.
So he keeps me really like rooted in who I am and what are you here for, and like will ask me,
Right.
My best friends are also a really great sounding board for me. So I think that's really important, is like knowing who you are, staying in that alignment, checking yourself, and then having your friends like check in with you too and be honest.
Right. And that's great. And I think that's a good segue as well, because you are pivoting from fashion and you're kind of going into this kind of spiritual health and wellness, however you want to label it, but you can talk more about that. But pivoting the brand, but it's still under the Jaded umbrella. So kind of briefly tell us about this transition of you kind of wanting to won't say, for lack of a better way to say it, put fashion on the back burner and like venture into a new branch of your own already brand?
Yeah, well, great. Talking about being in alignment, right?
Yeah.
Pivot, like pulling into that. I started Jaded, yes, initially like in the fashion industry and wanting to make a difference with jumpsuits. And that's still something that we're doing. And there's a lot of exciting things happening. But I really started to, in year 3, I actually opened up an opportunity to like do internships. And I hired a bunch of fashion students to come in. And it was really just supposed to be like a 12-week process, right, to kind of teach them. And I was like, okay, I'll get some help and I'll also be able to serve and mentor to these girls. And then it turned into something where they like after month 1 where can we stay for a year and could we do this and threw the agenda that I had out the window because I was like, well, I have more time.
Right.
And I quickly realized, 1, it was a lot of work to hire people. 2, especially if they're students, because I spent more time prepping and planning and teaching them than I was giving them a task and then letting them execute,
Right.
But during that moment, it really brought me back to remembering I love to help people. Like I love being around people as they're starting and watching them grow. Like stuff like that makes me really happy and brings tears to my eyes to witness someone's growth. But those girls really also taught me a lot about myself. So I recognized that in that moment, I like fashion. And I've enjoyed this process, and I love what Jaded Jumpsuits is able to do for people. But it's not what I want to do long term. It's not something that I want to retire with. It's Jaded Jumpsuits, and the fashion is strictly only going to be a vehicle under Jaded. Jaded is more about recognizing where you might be jaded and then knowing that you have the ability to make a change.
Yeah.
And so just as much as me, I'm like, oh, I might be a little jaded with fashion, jaded with all the shows and all this. Okay, so it's time to make a change. And it's okay to pivot. And I think that's something that I really struggled with in the very beginning is pivoting. Because I felt like, well, crap, I just built this business and now I'm just going to throw it away. Like what a failure I am already. But I'm learning that by pivoting and focusing on, okay, how can I make a difference in people's lives like you want to do, right? That you want to be remembered for that and you get joy out of serving. I moved it into more of like, what can I do for people to help them grow? Right? How can I like not focus so much on fashion and who has the new hottest whatever and stick up with the trends, but more so what is going on in your life and like, how can I help you with it? So that's kind of where I'm at. With wanting to pivot with Jaded and move into this space of like, it's not just about fashion, it's about creation.
Right.
It's about recognizing where you might be jaded and then making a change from it.
Yeah. And just for, audience purposes, can you kind of explain just what jaded means and like what if people aren't familiar with that word?
100%. I was like, well, jaded naturally is just unexciting. The word by definition, unexciting, boring, lacking enthusiasm, just like over it, which is exactly how I felt in my life when I quit my job, over it, being naked in the bathroom. So I'm like, all right, people tie the word jaded to a negative thing, right? I'm like, ugh, it's just saying it without jumping into it. I'm like, ugh. But for me and the way that Jaded is hoping to move where Jaded, make a change. And change starts once you've been jaded, right? It's not a period. It's really like, it's not the end. It's more of like a comma and then what's next.
Right.
So Jaded for our company is, okay, you're unexcited, you're bored, you're realizing you're in the same patterns, you're too comfortable, whatever it may be. Cool, let's make a change about it now. So it's more of an empowering thing. It's more of like rather again, like an end result, but more of like a beginning, like, oh, I recognize this is where I'm at. Let the fun begin.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we're at right now.
And did you find yourself in that position before you started all of this?
100%. Jaded in my job. I don't know, but I've always like naturally who I am as a person. I can't settle. If I'm bored, it's not a good thing. Like I always need to be doing something new or something different.
Right.
So yeah, I'm constantly like trying new things anyway. So for me being jaded in my job, I was like, time to go.
Right.
Jaded with, fashion, time to switch it up.
Yeah.
So that's just my life. If I get tired or bored of something, I'm like, time to switch it up.
I got you. Okay, so on that, like, you were in that position of your 9 to 5, it really wasn't doing it for you. And
Yep.
what would you tell somebody who has a passion project, we'll call it, or a dream or a goal, and maybe they're just kind of on the fence about getting started or like changing their current situation, and not to say like sit up here and tell them like quit your job, but like
Yeah.
what should people either start doing or start thinking about to start, aiming towards what they're being jaded about?
Yeah, I love this. I feel like it's stuff that I went over in like my workshop. If someone's, okay, for example, like jaded in their job, I'm not loving it. I've been here for years and doing the same mundane crap over and over. But they want to dive into something new. I agree. Don't quit your job right away. I was like, that's a big thing I should have like taken away. One lesson I've learned, don't quit my job right away. But figure out maybe what is it that you don't like about your job or the position that you're in, right? And maybe it's not always a job. Like people are jaded all the time in their life with different things. Maybe it's your relationship. Maybe it's your body weight. Maybe it's whatever thing that you're just like, oh, I'm not digging this anymore, right? And I'm thinking about doing something different. I'm like, okay, let's figure out why. Like, what is it? What's to the root of it? Why are we not doing anything about it yet? And why do we want to do something about it? Always going back into alignment of like, if I want to start something new and I want to try it out, go try it. But stay true to why are we doing this? Because if it's just a passion project and I just want to like have fun for a little bit and see if I can make money at the farmer's market, keep your job and like try it out and build out your network or whatever it is that you're trying to do. Hit that goal or figure out what your goal is to begin with. And then start executing in it, right? If you want to do something different, if you want to do a side hustle, if you're thinking about another job, well, why don't you go research what is it that you actually really want to do?
Right.
And then go talk to that person, somebody in that position that you want to be in, or selling what you want to kind of be selling, or live in this entrepreneurial life that you're really hoping for, right? Talk to people about it. Give yourself the opportunity to try it. Make sure that it's still like true to why I want to do it and who I am, and can I continue to execute it, and then go for it.
Yeah. Hey. No, I like it. And I think that's a great window to, I know you just mentioned the workshop. And so you just did a workshop, 4-week course that I was privileged to be a part of, called the Jaded Reset. And you had people from all over the country virtually be a part of this whole workshop. So kind of just tell people the ins and outs of, one, why you wanted to start this, and then two, what everything consisted of, and kind of the feedback you've gotten from it.
Yeah. I am so grateful. The Jaded Reset is a workshop that I literally started this year. So the one that you were in was the second one. So thank you for being a part of it. But the Jaded Reset was really, when I first started this business, again, tying back to like the name, and I'm like, I don't want it to be a negative thing, but more of like, let's pivot for change. We were starting the Jaded movement, which was allowing people to kind of audit where they were jaded in their life, right? And then let's move. So the Jaded Reset is allowing people to recognize, where am I jaded or am I stuck? And then moving into unstuck, right? Or moving into movement. So in the 4-week workshop, we go over our mindset, and we start off with awareness, right? Where am I really at? How are these patterns of jaded showing up for me? Where am I feeling stuck at? What's the real issue? And then we move into taking ownership. Guess what? This is where we are. What now? Right? We're in the situation that we have part blame to do with it, or maybe other circumstances, but like, okay, what now? What are we up against? What are our barriers? Moving into vision. Okay, what's next then? If we're stuck and we don't like it, and we're aware that, hey, maybe we haven't been making the right choices, then where do I really want to see myself? And vision allows people to really dream about what is next, right? And to do it freely, and to not look at the past of how they ended up in that position in the first place as shame, but more as like awareness. And then figuring out, who am I becoming in order to get there? And I think one of the examples that we talked about in that class was, we have a vision board, and on our vision board is the mansion and the nice car and the money bags and all this stuff, right? But if we want all that, we have to become somebody who can handle all of that, right? You're not going to get a mansion. You're not just going to get $1 million and then think you know how to handle it when you've been in debt for the whole time. Like, so who do I need to become? What type of skill sets do I need to learn? What type of habits do I need to drop or change or add? You know, what type of mindset and attitude do I need to embody to be this person to handle what it is that I actually want? Because that's the biggest thing that people skip over, right? It's like when you want to do something, motivation doesn't last, but what does last is when your goal is tied to the identity that you have for yourself. So I want to be somebody who can handle a business and who can build a business and who can inspire people. Then who do I need to be? I need to be somebody worth following.
Right.
I need to be worth somebody who has lived the experience, that can actually talk about it from a testimony, so I could give advice. So that really ties into like the vision and who do I become? And then we jump into execution, which is the last part of like, all right, let's do it. Like, let's create this plan, right? And it doesn't need to be a 10-step process, 90-day breakdown. It just needs to start like one step at a time.
Right.
Because our nervous system isn't meant to handle 100 different things to do right away, because lack of motivation is going to come in and you're not going to do it.
Right.
But it's moving that one step closer and tying it not to the goal, but to the person that I'm becoming, right? And so, yeah, from mindset to ownership to vision to execution, it spells out move.
Right.
So like, you were jaded, let's move, right? So I think the greatest thing about that, the second class that we taught that you were in, was the first time that I actually had men in it, because I really wanted to see, can I teach men? And do they deal with the same issues that women go through? And am I like speaking universally, or am I just connecting with the girlies? But the feedback that I've been able to get has been great. Like, I didn't know some of the things that some of these people were going through.
Right.
Until it kind of came up in the middle of class, right? And now, having finished and having talked to a lot of these people are changing the way that they view themselves, and they're excited to go and try something new, like the new hobby. They're cooking. One of their girls is like, I'm gonna start cooking. Other girls are like, I'm gonna start reading my Bible every day. Other people are like, hey, I was in a really rocky relationship that I continue to show up for when that person didn't care.
Right.
And now I get to reevaluate how I move forward in this relationship. There's people who were once really like confused and self-conscious about themselves and the decision and the life that they were in, to now empowered to being like, okay, I got this. I can go and do this.
Right.
I don't need to feel the shame anymore. So the transformation I've been able to witness from these people who trusted me to just share something that has worked in my life, that essentially got me to start this business to begin with, right? All of that stuff that I was able to teach was everything that I had gone through, and I go through multiple times.
Right.
So it's been great being able to like see the difference that has been able to make in people, and it's the things that I was able to teach that stick with them.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And so how do you see this growing in the future? Maybe between your next couple, 2-3 workshops, how do you want to see it grow from your own standpoint? And also, how do you want to grow as a teacher and a leader of people and kind of guiding them through all this?
Yeah. Well, I just want to get better and better at it. I want to be able to attract all types of different people. My goal for something like this is to continue. I want to be able to do it every single quarter. You know, I think that, again, everybody gets jaded multiple times in life. They need a reset multiple times in life. And so I want to be able to attract more people. I want to be able to build this bigger community.
Right. Everybody's
a part of this community now, part of the Jaded movement. They all have the tools now to go from stuck to moving, and they can pass that on. I would love to be able to continue to teach this more often, to make this a bigger thing, to be able to, you know, be on stages teaching people, to make this something like a curriculum. I think that that's what I can see myself doing, and I want to do. I'm like, girl, I want to be the girl on stage. Yeah. Like, I want to be the one giving advice, and you pay me to talk to you. Yeah. But that's what I would want, because people who show up to events like that, right? When you think about it, like the Tony Robbins and the Grant Cardones and all of that, they leave empowered. They leave like, oh, I got this. I can do this. And that, I'm sure, when you talk to them, is the biggest takeaway that these speakers want. Like, that's the thing that makes them get up on stage and talk to begin with, is the difference of everybody's lives in there. And so that's what I really want, is I want to make an impact. And I think it goes back to, I've always been that type of person that wanted to be a part of something bigger, But then now being the person who gets to create something way bigger than myself.
Right.
And that is in the people that I get to impact.
Yeah, that's huge. And impact is vague, but for you specifically,
Yeah.
what do you, if somebody comes to your workshop and goes through the whole reset and all the things, what's one thing you specifically hope that everybody can take away from doing one of your workshops?
My biggest hope is that they take away that they know that they can make a change, that they're empowered to go and make a change, and that they have all the permission and authority in the world to go and create something for themselves. I hope people leave with a mentality of, I don't need to settle. I don't need to stay stuck. I can make a difference here. Like I can do something about it. We always have the ability to be able to do something about a situation that we're in. And so I want people to be able to walk away knowing that they can. You don't need to ask anybody for permission to change something in your life. So do it.
Right. Okay. So then on the opposite end, say somebody's on the fence about wanting to participate in your workshop and just like, I don't know if I need this, or I don't know if it's worth my time, or what would you say to somebody that's kind of like on the fence, teetering on joining, essentially?
If somebody doesn't think that they are jaded or they can't handle it, they can't have a reset, maybe I'm always going to encourage you to try it anyway. Sometimes we will say no to things that might end up making the biggest difference in our lives, right? That we would have never experienced had we not just given it a shot. And I think just like anything or any book you read or any video you watch, you're going to take away whatever fits for you in that situation, right? Hoping something I have to say is going to like stick with them.
Right.
But I think that the more opportunities you give yourself to learn and to try new things, the more open-minded you become, the more like belief you have in yourself that you can actually make a difference, the more you get to witness how you're growing and changing. And so if somebody's teetering on the fence of joining the Jaded Workshop, I'd be like, well, try it anyway. Or talk to the people in the community and hear from them, hear their stories, right? Like I don't want to sell it to you, but naturally when you ask me to talk about something that I created, I'm going to, and it's going to come out that way. But don't talk to me. Go talk to other people who have went through it, who have experienced change, who learned something. What did they take away? Maybe they'll also tell you what they didn't like, and that's good too.
Right.
You know, like that's really honest. It's like, hey, in this, you're going to have to like really think hard about what you can take accountability for, or like where you went wrong, right? And if you're not ready to handle something like that, then like, you know, maybe we can talk a little bit more about it. But if you're on the fence, like give it a shot or go talk to somebody who did do it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think everybody should join the Jaded Reset. But in general, say somebody's never invested time or money in their healing spiritual journey. So in general, where would you tell someone like that to start?
Who's never invested time into their healing or their journey. I think it's important. And however you choose to do that, find a way and a place and an outlet to be able to do that. Something that you can afford to do, even if it's just having a friend or a community to talk to, a family member to talk to. I think that you can't do anything well if you're not well. And so I think the biggest thing is to take the time and actually invest in yourself, because how do you expect to really change if you're not allowing yourself to talk about certain things or to deal with what's actually going on and to pause and actually like sit in what's happening.
Right.
And then to get the right tools and guidance to get out of that funk, you know? They say iron sharpens iron. So that's because we talk to one another, right? Like, let me pick your brain. Let me challenge you. Let me like get this out. And sometimes just being able to talk to somebody about something and having them hold space for you does more than having, you know, that all trapped inside anyway.
Right.
So if you haven't invested in yourself to go and get healing or to deal with your mental health or anything like that, I just want to say it doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't need to be a large commitment. It doesn't need to be this big thing.
Right.
Maybe it starts off with you journaling. Maybe it starts off with you watching YouTube videos or doing meditation or reading and praying or talking to a friend, you know, but do it because we are all here on earth to have people and to have companionship. We're not meant to do life alone. You're not meant to deal with all of your problems alone. And I think a lot of people feel like they're alone in a situation when they're in it, but like you're not. You know, there's other people who've gone through things like that, or there's other people who can give you some guidance through it. So that's what I would say is just start small.
Yeah.
But start. But start.
So with the workshops that you've done and just with your own eye test of things that you've seen, what would you say is probably like one of the biggest things that people struggle with when it comes to making a change and kind of getting out of their own head and kind of moving forward in whatever direction they need to go?
I think the biggest thing is that people haven't recognized why they're stuck or the root of the situation to begin with. I think there are a lot of things that people have heard or believed in their lives or told themselves or from someone else that they have believed in their lives, and they're like, oh, this is where I'm at, this is who I am, I can't change, it is what it is. And they haven't gotten down to the root as to why they're not doing what they say they're going to do. Like, for example, me, I know what I need to do. I know how to do it. I know I can turn to people to help me through it. But why do I not do it? And I think there's a lot of people who are stuck. And like, oh, I know how. I know I want to, but why can't I? It's because we haven't gotten to the root of the situation. We haven't really looked at what am I really up against? And when people get to the root of a situation, they recognize I'm actually really scared. Or like, I am very fearful that I can't do it and therefore I won't do it, right? I'm afraid to be judged. Maybe the root is this was how I was raised and I don't know any other way out of it. Like my parents weren't guiding me through it, right? They're the ones who caused these issues. And so they don't realize that it was like a trauma that they never really dealt with in the past. Or for other people, maybe they figure out that the root of the situation is they've always been like a people pleaser and they care too much about taking care of other people and they pour into other people that they don't pour back into themselves. And then therefore they're depleted. So they're not going to move no matter how much you want it, no matter how much you know of what to do next. You're like, I'm exhausted. I can't run when I'm on E. And so being able to really get down to the root of what's really happening, where does this really stem from, what's really the issue, then people kind of sit in this like, I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. So dive deep is what I would really like recommend for somebody. Okay.
So then on the opposite of that, people dive deep. And then so what would you say is the more common solution for people to finally like start getting some motion and progressing forward in the direction they need to?
Okay, once you have dove deep and you're like, all right, I know what's wrong.
Yeah, you're like, all right, I think I figured out the problem. So then what you've seen and what you've heard, and even through the workshops, what has helped propel people now is now they have motion. Now they understand the problem for their own selves, and now they're starting to make motion and so what does that look like as far as...
Well, congratulations. You figured out what the problem is. I think that's a big step, right? To really like awareness and like, oh, I'm here. This is where it's at. Great. Awesome. Okay, what now? What now is, okay, you figured out this situation, who you were and how you ended up in that situation, right? Now we get to figure out who do I want to be leaving this situation? How do I want to get out of this? How am I going to change so that I don't run into this again if I can help it, right? So I think that's where I'm aware of where I'm at. I'm not going to meet myself with shame of acknowledging that and accepting that. But now I recognize that I also can do better. So what does this better person look like? What does Jade 2.0 kind of look like, right? And then that jumps into the whole vision part of like, who am I becoming now? What do I have to do? What is one step, one single thing that I can kind of do right now? What's something that I can take control back of to be able to move forward? What is something that I get to let go of? Circle is one of the acronyms that we have, and a lot of it talks about control. Putting ourselves back into the driver's seat and recognizing the choices that we get to make and even the things that we get to release. Maybe it is the shame, maybe it is other people's opinions, maybe it is the guilt, and then being able to like get grounded and go. So yeah, once you deep dive, congrats, you figured it out of like why you ended up there. Let's figure out how to get out of there.
And for the record, this is very like all general in a sense, but like doing the workshop, you learn all that's broken down, all that's dissected. And so like the biggest thing for me in the workshop was like the execution part. Because I'm a big believer in action. And it's just like, especially if you're writing it down, it's like, all right, what do I need to do? Blah, blah, blah. It doesn't even got to be in order, just like things that you can do to get to where you need to be. And like seeing that, like, all right, cool, this is what I got to do. All right, bet. Like, you know, it's like getting it out of your head, putting it on paper, physically, just super old school. And then it's like, all right, now I know.
Yeah.
This is what it is.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm glad you wrote it out and you did it.
Yeah.
And I think just to add on that too is like, you may write a lot of things out and don't be ashamed or be mad if you don't get to cross something off the list, right? Like you're able to get to it tomorrow. You don't live our lives on a to-do list or anything like that, but journaling and writing out your plans is really exciting and it's helpful.
Yeah. It's powerful.
It is powerful.
Yeah.
Glad you enjoyed execution.
So I got a couple final questions for you.
Okay.
I want to be respectful of your time. But before I get into those questions, I do want to acknowledge you. I want to acknowledge you for the brave woman that you are and that you've become over the years. And, you know, going out to a foreign place that you're not familiar with and starting from scratch, but also starting a business from scratch in a city, town, state where it's like a dog-eat-dog world, if you will. And not only building yourself up, but building up others. And being at some of your lowest points ever in life, but still having the strength and the courage to fight through that and continue on. It's super beautiful to see. But also like taking what you've done and what you created and creating stuff to help other people and to empower other people and to encourage other people to truly live their lives and to push them and propel them forward in whatever direction they need to go. I think that's super genuine of you, and I admire you so much for that. And for wanting more for yourself, wanting more for others, you know, and, you know, putting yourself, you know, you put yourself first, obviously, but also you put so many other people above you when you need to. And it's very like, yeah, you're a very giving and thoughtful person.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, so keep it up. Next question. It's called The Three Truths.
Okay.
So this is from my guy, Lewis House, on the School of Greatness podcast. And so in this situation, it's hypothetical. You can live for as long as you want, 100, 120, whatever it is. And in this time, you can do every single thing you've always wanted to do. You know, you can, you know, be on stages talking to millions and thousands of people, you know, with like the Tony Robbins and the Mel Robbins of the world and so on and so forth. You know, you can be on the cover of Forbes magazine. You know, you can have Jaded, you know, boutiques all over the world. Like, you can do everything you want.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, your time eventually comes, whenever that is. And all the things that we know about you, have learned about you, they go with you. And there's nothing's left behind. But the only thing you can leave behind is a piece of paper with 3 truths of what you believe to be true in this life. So what would your 3 truths be?
My 3 truths. It's a great question. I think one of them is that you have the ability and the authority to do anything you want to do. That the only limitations that we really have are ourselves, our own negative talk in our own mind. That's the only real limitation that you should settle for, really. And another truth is that God's got us. Like, God loves us, and he has given me so much insight. And so if I could leave anything really behind, that would be the last thing too, is that, you know, God's got your whole life planned. He's not going to let you do it alone. His word is so true, and everybody has access to it. And I think that it's something that everybody has the opportunity to dive into. Because once you know who you are and who he's made you to be, then you will then accept and recognize, again, you don't need permission. You have the authority, you have all the power, and you have all the backing to do what it is that you want to do.
Right.
Yeah. Was that 3?
That was two.
The last truth is life is short. Life is really short. We're only here for a short amount of time. So make the most of it. We think we have time. Even though me and you, like, we're still pretty young. And even I run into moments where I'm like, well, I don't really have all that much time. Like, I gotta fit a whole family and like a multi-million-dollar business into this life and still travel. Like, wait. So, yeah, life is short. And so you got to make the most of it. And so I'm always like, I'm going to create a life worth rewatching in the end. When my whole life plays back in the last seconds of my life, I'm like, I'm going to make sure it's worth watching.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Powerful stuff. And so the last question for you is, in this season of your life right now, what does LIV'N mean to you?
In this specific season, LIV'N for me is to legit, like, just be happy and, like, pour into myself. I think that's the biggest thing. Not taking away pouring into other people, but I think when I'm pouring into myself and I'm remaining authentic, which is really where I'm at, I'm like, I want people to see who I really am and what my brand is all about. LIV'N for me is just being real. And I think even I admittedly am very fearful of, like, being authentic and real and posting all this stuff because I'm like, oh, it's cringy. But, like, we spend hours watching other cringy things all the time of other people's life, but they're doing something, you know, and that's them, and they have no shame in their game. And I'm like, the type of confidence and freedom that person has, even if it's relevant stuff or not, I'm like, they're authentic and they're really living their life. So, you know, so I'm like, that's what I want. LIV'N for me in this season would be being unapologetically and authentically myself and not caring too much about what other people have to think or say about how I choose to want to live my life and what I want to do with it and what I want to create from it.
Yeah.
Dang.
Love that. Mic drop. But yeah, well, everybody, Jade, all the way from California, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.